Companies just want one thing, and it's disgusting. Numbers. Big honkin' numbers. I've worked a lot on the industry side of creator brand deals, and I've learned what companies want in the influencers that they work with. My goal is to uplift and empower creators to have the best chance possible to get sponsored and ultimately achieve their goal of full-time content creation. Today's topic is tedious and boring, which is exactly why you should watch this video. Tracking results. Looking at those numbers. Data analytics. Marketing teams at companies want to make sure that any investment they make has an impact. And with the advent of social media metrics, tracking links, and more, it's now easier than ever for companies to track these results. But Andy, what does that have to do with getting sponsored? Influencer marketing and creator sponsorships can and do have trackable results. But oftentimes that tracking is done by the company with resources given to the creator. Whether companies gain access to your social media metrics with influencer management services, the company provides Amazon tracking links, or any other host of options, companies want as much data as possible to measure the success of their campaigns. For example, if a company sends you a product and wants to increase Amazon sales, they might provide a custom tracking link for your post so they can measure how many sales are driven by you. While many things can be tracked, these metrics often don't see the full picture. Outside of these obvious things that can be tracked with links and services, influencer marketing performance is notoriously hard to track the results of. It's hard to measure more nebulous things. Maybe one creator's brand deal might make you aware of a company and a product, but another creator's brand deal is ultimately what closes the sale. In this case, the second creator's brand deal will be credited with the sale, but the first creator's brand deal was equally important at building the awareness that drove that sale in the first place. One built awareness and one closed the deal, but only the one that closed the deal will get credit, and you can't track these nebulous connections. And like, I have been that viewer before. Lord knows how many ads for brands like Manscaped I've seen. And while I might have seen 20 to 100 ads over the last year, only one person is getting credited with the purchase that I made. But as a result of these nebulous, hard to connect things, companies often don't invest in influencer brand deals as much as they should. See where I'm going with this? What if you could help your sponsors track the success of the brand deals that you do? Some of these things are nebulous and untrackable, but there definitely are things you can help provide data for. Ultimately, companies want hard metrics to understand return on investment. The better you can showcase the success of your brand deals, the more brand deals you will get. And the more brand deals you get, the more money you earn and the more likely you can make content creation your full-time career. Therefore, here are some major areas to consider in tracking the success of your brand deals. Here's the easiest and most obvious thing. Provide analytics for social posts and other activations of that sort. If you have a sponsored post on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere else, you can get some really detailed analytics on the performance of said post. Things like impressions, overall engagement, link clicks, and more. We'll use Twitter as the example. On Twitter, to see your analytics, go to More, click Creator Studio, go to Analytics. Next, for performance, click on tweets, and on the top right, pick the time period that you want to track. We'll just look at October 2022. Next, to see the data for any individual tweets, click on export data, then go by tweet. Export by tweet, and after a few seconds, you'll get a download that has all the data on everything you've posted in your selected time period. I don't have any examples for brand deals in particular, but if you scroll to the right, you can get data such as impressions, engagement rate. Then you can get particular types of engagement such as retweets, replies, likes, profile clicks, URL clicks. So in the case of reporting these things to companies, impressions are more or less the total reach, like the number of people who see your tweet. Engagement rate sort of measures how compelling the content is. Like if you have a 10% engagement rate, that is amazing. But then in terms of types of engagement, companies probably want URL clicks the most, as well as maybe retweets or other types of shares. That's a quick rundown on how to find this information for Twitter, but you can find very similar analytical information from just about any other social media platform. That all said, if the company gives you a tracking link and has access to your social metrics via some influencer management service, then they can probably see all this information themselves, aside from some very particular information. On that note, if a company doesn't give you any tracking links, you can do something really similar with something like Bitly or bit.ly. I don't know whether it's like a GIF or GIF situation, but Bitly, we'll call it Bitly. I made a random Bitly just linking to my website, andycormier.blog, and as you can see, you can get some pretty detailed metrics from Bitly. If I remember correctly, the free version either has a 1 month or 28-day limit on this data, but for example, you can see metrics as detailed as like the exact points of time when your link was clicked. Then you can see which platform this link was clicked on, whether that's direct or Twitter, as well as what location. But the point is, a lot of companies don't even know that they should be tracking all this information. So if you know how to do it for them, you can make a much more compelling case to be one of their favorite people to work with for future brand deals. Most companies will track these types of things for you in their brand deals, but it is important to know how to do them yourself. But Andy, what about sponsored video and stream segments? I'm glad you asked, Andy. But did you know with pretty high accuracy, you can calculate how many of your viewers actually watched your sponsored segment in a video? This video I'm looking at does not have a sponsored segment, but let's just use it as a potential example. If you go into studio.youtube.com, you can see a lot of analytics for any given video or for your channel as a whole. In this case, you're going to want to go to the content tab. Then on the video, you want to see the analytics of, click on the analytics button under the video. Then you'll see an overview of the analytics. If you scroll down, you can see the graph for audience retention, and this is probably the most important data you can have in a brand deal. Let's say I had an ad at the minute and 10-second mark that lasted 30 seconds. 68% of my viewers did see the beginning of this ad, and a very similar amount lasted the full 30 seconds. But why does this matter? Don't you want to have the biggest numbers possible? Like if you have a sponsored video and it gets 10,000 views, wouldn't you want to say that 10,000 people saw your ad? Maybe not sometimes. If a video has 10,000 views with 200 sponsored link clicks driving 50 purchases, 200 clicks divided by 10,000 views is a 2% click-through rate. And 50 purchases over 10,000 views is 0.5% conversion or purchase rate. However, if you look at the retention curve and only find out that 50% of reviewers watch the sponsored segment, that actually doubles your rates. Cut that 10,000 in half for all the math above, and you go up to a 4% click-through rate and a 1% conversion rate, which is double what you thought it was. So yes, while the impressions and overall reach of the ad might be lower, this shows that the ad itself is twice as effective in terms of rates as the raw numbers would have you believe. This is the data that most companies cannot track. They can see how many views a sponsored video or stream might have, but they won't see it in this level of specificity. Providing this information of not only how many people might have watched the video, but how many people specifically saw the sponsored segment, that's extremely useful data for a company. Companies love accuracy in their measurements, and this type of data really increases the accuracy of those measurements, and higher rates make marketing people look good, which makes them want to work with you more. And having the initiative to gather and analyze this data yourself showcases a lot of professionalism, as well as showing the company that you're far more effective than they realized. Creators who companies like to work with typically get more brand deals. Next time you have a sponsored segment in a video, give the companies their retention data to show how many people actually saw the ad. And for a sponsored stream, you can find very similar analytics for Twitch, for example, on how many viewers you had when you did a sponsored segment. But all in all, companies want a return on investment, and sponsorships and brand deals are an investment. If a company isn't tracking your brand deal, track it yourself. Whether that's by gathering social metrics, using Bitly, using your own affiliate links, or going into the nitty-gritty of your video and stream data. Anything like that, you give brands a lot of confidence in you as a creator. The infrastructure companies have to track results often is enough, but adding the offer of this juicy specific data will make you much more appealing to companies when you get sponsored. Let's back up for a second. While we are going into all this talk on numbers, analytics, metrics, etc., it's important to remember that you are a person, not your content or numbers. It's very important to make good content and understand the metrics of that content, but at the end of the day, you are a person, not your numbers. But the goal of this and much of my other content is to help you be the one that companies want to work with. Be the most professional you can be, make the best content that you can make, and provide the most detailed data a company could possibly want. The creators companies like working with get more brand deals, and you can be really well liked if you make it easy for the companies. Make sure you actually deliver on what you promise, ideally exceeding it, and get sponsored. This process of tracking your data is one way you can be a professional creator, one of two types of creators I think companies love to work with most. Remember to leave a like, subscribe for more, and watch that video next. Happy creating, and I'll see you next time.